Humbled by that. I try to be as regular as possible. I try to be, as real as possible, and at the same time trying to evolve, and trying to become, not a better person, but that person that I was when I came out of my mom's womb. I like that person. That's pretty cool. That was a pretty cool person. Over time, things can change you. Over time, sometimes you experience different things, and you can be from the richest family in Beverly Hills or from the poorest family, in Little Rock, Arkansas. Mental health issues is not biased. And sometimes people go through things. So that's why I like to not only speak to the demographic from where I'm from, Queens, New York City, similar to Compton area, but I like to speak out in general because I feel like the more we come together and attack mental health issues and mental health, problems, I think, the quicker we'll get a solution. Obviously, over in Capitol Hill, we have a lot of competition, between parties, on something that, on services that's necessary. I went down to Capitol Hill with Grace Napolitano 2 times we went. And it was amazing, the bill that she was trying to get passed, and I know her name probably changed now, but the mental health services that she was trying to get in all schools across the United States, we had so many Democrats sign off, and then we was in there talking to Republicans trying to get them to sign off. We needed like 1 vote, I think, at that one time, or 2 votes, just to raise or get a $200 million grant so we can get psychologists in schools across the country. So, the more people understand, you look at the situation between, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Amy Winehouse, these are wealthy people, okay? And probably Republicans for tax purposes. Probably Republicans, And they was affected by something. I hear stories that Michael Jackson was obsessed with being #1, and he would do things to keep him, up there at #1 and staying up all night. I can't sit, not taking care of yourself, And when you're out that spotlight, a lot of these celebrities are affected by that. And these are, like I said, probably Republicans. We need to address, I'd much rather have Amy Winehouse here or Michael Jackson here, right, than not be here. And they have different issues, but like I said, it's not biased. It doesn't pick and choose, so I'm honored to be here for those reasons. I have a history of mental health issues in my household. You haven't heard me before speak. I think, Emily, you saw me before one time at our last cool event. My dad is functional on medication. His sister, my auntie, she's been in a psychiatric ward since I would say 11 or 10 years old, maybe 12. We raised her 2 children. One of her children that we raised, my cousins, which is my brothers, because they was in the household with me forever. We got him right out the hospital. So we took him right from when he was born, and we took him home with us. And then his older brother, which is my older brother, he pretty much transitioned from his mom's household into our household. And my auntie, she's still in the hospital now to this day. She's diagnosed with schizophrenia. My dad's functional medication. My little cousin that we took from the hospital, he's still transitioning out of halfway homes and different things like that. He's 34 now, and he's been in and out of institutions since he was 10. And he was medicated at 8 or 9 years old. So I've seen, this problem, touch at home. My little sister, she was functional on medication, but she's still on medication. And she's been on it since she was 13. She's like 24 now, right? So I've seen it, firsthand. When you're going through the psychiatrist or psychologist, trying to receive help, I was almost, well, in my brother's situation with my mom, you know, their first resort was go see a doctor when you're having problems or you're acting out. So instead of taking me to a psychiatrist, my mom decided to take me to a counselor when I was 13 years old. So that's how that's how I didn't see a psychiatrist, and that's how I wasn't on medication, because my mom took me to a counselor. So we did things like sports therapy. It was a group of kids, and everybody had different issues. Some was bipolar, some was and then diagnosed with other things. But we was all together, and we did a lot of great things at the age of 13, which was great for me at that time because I was always home in a dysfunctional household, and I was able to get out of that household, which was only 1 block away. But it felt like an escape. And it was a free service that the city of New York had at that time. That was 1993. It was a great service. And it kind of started me thinking differently, you know, about myself. Even though I was still getting in trouble, but at least I was able to experience, you know, that service. So, you know, my older brother, he did about 10 years in jail when I was about 17 years old. He was drug trafficking. So when I was going to college, at the age of 17 years old, he was like the guy that I looked up to. I never knew he was in the streets. He always hid from me. But right when I was going to St. John's, he was going to jail. And I said, okay, he'll be home in a month, a year. It was 10 years after he came home. You know, and so, you know, I experienced, you know, so much, you know, in terms of, you know, the frustration and stress in the household, which could lead to other things. Sometimes it can be chemical imbalances. Sometimes it can just come from stress and no support systems. So from experiencing all that, you know, I decided to continue to give back, even when I was going through my downtimes in my career, publicly. I was going through my downtimes, and privately, at times I was going through some things. I still had a mission, and the mission was kind of foggy at times because I'm doing, you know, things on the television that is getting me in trouble, getting suspended, but at the same time, I still have this mission that we're doing on the back end. And it wasn't until things kind of calmed down and died down where people could see, you know, what I was actually, you know, my main mission, you know, which is giving back. And it changes over time because I get older. When I first started in the NBA at 19 years old, I was given about 10 scholarships a year to kids, you know, not writing it off. Didn't have Excel University until 2007 or 2006. So I didn't know anything about writing off these type of, you know, scholarships, which would have been great if I would have known that at 19. You know, but we're just doing it out of the depths of our heart. And then it changed from giving scholarships to kids to in 2005, 2006, when I was in Sacramento, I wanted to do YouTube counseling sessions where kids could receive services or at least be able to identify with somebody who's going through something like they are. Because I was able to pay for my sessions. I had marriage counseling, parenting counseling, mandated by the courts, anger management counseling mandated by the courts. The marriage counseling was actually suggested by the NBA. It was very, very supportive, which a lot of people don't know because we kept it private. I never wanted things to get out, but the NBA was very, very supportive of me. And one of my marriage counseling sessions was with a guy from Pennsylvania. Really, really good guy. He taught me how to open up wounds and patch things up with my ex-wife, and we was doing different things like that. That was about $80,000 bill, you know? And he would travel from Pennsylvania and sit with me and, you know, for a week, and we just worked on me, you know? He was really good at what he did. It was expensive. And I'm like, all right, this is helping me, but how is another person gonna pay for this? You know, not only am I paying for that, but I'm also doing parenting counseling or therapy and anger management. So I'm like, that's impossible to pay for. You know, that's a year's salary. So I wanted to figure out the best way where I can have an impact on people, where it's not costing that much. Because, like I said, the services that I had when I was growing up, they don't have those services though as much. I think they're cutting them, and, you know, left and right. So I'm always, so in 2005, was that about, when we was in Sacramento, when we was trying to attempt, 2007, we was trying to attempt to get, get these services on YouTube. That was the only thing I could think of at that time. And then my mission kind of changed a little bit. Now I'm really into, families and the core problems of mental health. I really believe it starts in the household. I believe that the divorce rate is having an impact, on the kids. When the kid sees their parents, separate, I know it impacted me. I was 13, so I saw both sides of a family. I saw a happy family. I seen a family that when you're a married couple and then a dysfunction in the household. Then I seen a divorce, family. And when my parents got divorced at 13, I know it impacted me, so I can imagine. I'm only human, so I'm sure these type of things impact other people. So I'm leaning more towards, that issue, the families, and really trying to, raise money for different, institutions or services, and that's really focused on families. And I believe that's also has a, direct effect, on mental health issues. Sometimes, like you said, it can come from stress, and people are stressed out, and then it just piles on and piles on and piles on. Kind of how debt just piles on. And you got to pay it off somehow, and sometimes we do things, that we wish we wouldn't have done. And that's why they say, the jail system and incarceration, a lot of it is people with mental health issues. So I'm always thinking about how can we help, the issue before it gets out of hand. From the schools, I visited Detroit the last time the Lakers were in Detroit, and I did an event in Detroit at a elementary school. And I just wanted to kind of see what was going on in the city. I know Detroit's rough. The most abandoned homes I've ever seen in my life. I know in New Orleans, when Katrina happened, I remember seeing that, and that was pretty bad to see kind of the ghetto and how it is there. But it's the first time I've ever seen in person abandoned homes, abandoned small businesses, abandoned factories, And now you got kids growing up in these environments. And so I wanted to speak at a school, and I was asking kids, what do you want to major in? And one kid said, I want to major in read. One kid said, I want to major in football, and none of these are majors, And so I'm like, who's at home teaching these kids that, read is not a major? By the time you're 13 or 14, you should know that. So the schools are very important, to me also, it's important that not only in the household, that the parents are understanding that, you go through things, and receiving marriage counseling is something that should be, important. Couples counseling, all these things can help keep a family together. Everybody knows, the stronger the family, the better you'll be when you're growing up. Whoever here has a mother and dad that's still married, you're raised a little bit differently. On average, you're raised a little bit differently. So that's something that's one of my missions, is really, kind of bringing that to the, forefront, and hopefully we can do activities, on networks or, different programs that can be entertaining so people can watch, and also, it can have an impact. It can have an impact on people. When I was a Houston Rocket, I think that was 2008, I was finishing my mandated anger management class, anger management therapy sessions from the court. And I'm not a big fan of the courtroom, but I appreciate the judge. Actually that judge was from Detroit when I had the brawl, and she mandated that I had therapy sessions. The therapy sessions I had before the brawl, they were suggested by the NBA, pretty much mandated. They said I must take these classes, and I did, all these sessions. But when I finished my sessions in Houston, the lady I thanked on TV when I won the championship, I called her and I said, we're finished, but I want to keep going. I want to keep going because, I was feeling so good and I started to become free, and I haven't had that feeling in a long, long time. And then so she would come to LA and we would just talk. And then it was just sports therapy at a point in time because I feel like all the stress that I had in the past, all the problems that I have, I feel like we answered the problems. So at this point, I was able to have fun with the sessions. I got past the hurdles and I was able to just talk about sports and, how am I going to get past, Paul Pierce and I don't like this guy, but how can I stay focused? And we were just talking about sports and how can I just focus on the game and not be worried about him? And that felt good. It felt good to be able to just, get past everything else. And now, I'm able to, read more. I'm into different forms of meditation, and I feel like I'm still doing therapy to this day. But now it's like trying to reach different goals and higher goals, and I feel like a lot of families, have yet to reach that point. I know a lot of families that will not seek counseling, will not seek therapy. They feel like they don't need it, and I think it'll be very important, especially in the communities where the divorce rate is high, the separation rate is high. Baby mamas all over the place, baby daddies all over the place. How are you going to raise a family? You're just asking that the child that you bring into this earth have mental health issues. Just asking for it because the streets is going to raise that child. Whether it's the hood streets or whether it's the streets on Hollywood Boulevard or whether it's another street, so the streets is going to raise that child. So now we're asking that child when he or she has a baby to raise your child the right way. They don't even know how to raise a child, right? And everything just kind of circulates after that. So it's a tough task that we all have, and everybody in other states that's doing seminars like this. And it's a tough task, but we're here, and I think we can make a difference. And it starts here, and it continues to go. And I'm excited, to continue to do work on the mental health side, and I'm excited to continue to attend, events and do different, even the businesses that we get involved in. Always making sure that we're thinking kind of consciously, and is there any way you can get involved in a business that can help people, that can change the dynamics of, of the world? I was reading. I'm back in school now, so. I'm very excited, and I'm in the school thing. Speaking of the schools I was talking about earlier, I'm gonna touch back on what I think about school. But I'm back in school now, and my professor's great. I'm in UCLA on the weekdays, and I'm in Concordia and Anaheim on the weekends. Only on Saturdays. And one of the first assignments that I had to read up on something that had nothing to do with business, but it was more conscious. And I really appreciated that from him because my first session was getting me in the mindset of don't only think about yourself, but think about people when you're trying to create businesses. I think Tesla's a great example. A huge company, and he's thinking about the future of the children. When we leave, we leave it to them. So it's important to not, definitely do the charity work and the things that we do here, but even in your business, how can you help the future, for the kids? What type of business can you bring to the table? Everybody wants to make money when they do a business. That's a great thing, but is there something you can do that can make an impact on the future? Is there some type of thing you can get involved in that can make an impact, on the future? And that's something I never thought about, but I am thinking more and more about it. especially as I'm back in school. And so with the school for me it was very interesting. When I was young, I failed a lot of classes, you know, and I couldn't quite comprehend. So English was really bad for me. Math was tough. I grew attracted to math, and I started to like math. But when I was in my elementary and junior high school, there were certain tests I couldn't pass. And I thought that, hey, I'm not that smart, you know? And you don't think that when you look at, you know, looking from the outside in and you're looking back at the Ron test of the eight-year-old Ron test or 10-year-old Ron test, you know, it's really tough learning or going home and doing homework, you know, when you're worried about, you know, things happening in the streets, when you're worried about what clothes you're gonna put on, or when you're worried about, you know, big holes in the walls and rats is coming out of mice every night, we turn lights on and run and stuff. Pretty funny. They smart, you know. And, but now 18-year professional career, you know, fully, you know, that fully energized. I feel more mentally strong, and now I want to go back to school. I got the education bugging, you know, and it took that long for me. But I could imagine if you want to go to school, you're waking up in the morning, you want to go to school, you want to learn, you want to listen to your teacher, but you're going through so many other things. How are you going to learn? You know, and now that my mind is clear, you know, I can eat. You know, I address issues that I had a long time ago. I'm picking up these books and I'm reading the books. You know, I'm in digital analytics class at UCLA on Mondays. Then, you know, thank you. I'm excited. Then I'm doing search engine optimization on Wednesdays, but I don't even know what that still means. I'm doing a class. And then I'm driving an hour to Anaheim for economics class. You know? And this weekend I'm going to Vancouver to take a workshop. It's called Brain Station. I feel like a nerd. But, you know, and when I was 17 going to college, my first major was architecture. And I knew I wanted to do it. I didn't know how to do it, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. When I took the class, it was overwhelming. I had to drop the major. And then I majored in art. I didn't know how to draw, but it was something I was interested in. I had to drop that major. Then I wanted to major in math. That was something that was fun for me. But at the same time, I wasn't doing great, but my goal was to get to the MBA, and I was never focused in school. So when I decided to go to the MBA, I just never went back to class. You know, and I didn't know how important school was until this day, or until a couple of years ago, when you're meeting different people and you ask them, hey, what's your major? They say, I was an econ major, I was a finance major, and you see the positions that they're in, and I'm like, wow, school is very important. You know, education is very important, and I know sometimes people have different questions about education. You know, sometimes you can take a class that has nothing to do with what you like, but at the end of the day, education is very important. And now I'm excited about it. I know the importance of it, but then it took me 18 years, you know, to get to that point. Now, yeah, I was playing in the NBA, but still at the same time, mentally, it took me 18 years to even want to read a book. I will only read, the books I would read prior to now would be maybe Avengers, comic books. I like the Avengers. Something about cars, you know. I love boxing. I read every boxing article. I love boxing. If they would have put some smart words in the boxing article, that would have been very smart. I would read every single one. But, you know, it was other things that I think kids need to learn, you know, in order to be successful. But how are you gonna, you know, if you have mental health issues, you're going through so many things, you got left back because maybe you couldn't make it to school, you get in trouble, maybe you go to juvenile delinquent facility, you're rated back 1 year, now you gotta catch up, not only to your regular grade, but to the education that you missed on the year you was in a juvenile delinquent facility. Now you're 18, and you're in the real world immediately. Possibly with no dad, most likely is with no dad. The moms, they stay the majority of the time. And now you're gonna enter the world, uneducated. And things pile up, and as you know, uneducated communities are more likely to be incarcerated. And so through my journey, I think about all this stuff, and even right now, being in school, I think about, I'm very excited about being in school, and right now it's easier for me to be in school. I can pay for my own tuition, but I think about how long it took me to get there, mentally, to want to absorb all this information. But it's impossible to absorb, all that information if you got a lot of other things you're going through. So that's why I'm really interested in seeing if we can make an impact on families. On families. I'm really interested to see the impact it make, on that next generation that we probably won't see for like 10 years, because some of these kids, you can't change them. Some of these kids, it's really hard, and I try, believe me. But in my neighborhood, I always saw when the kid is like 14 and 15, they think a certain way, it's going to take them to make a big, huge mistake before they think differently. And it's sad, but it's so true. You can catch them at maybe 10, 12, but once they get 13, 14, 15, it's really hard to catch them. You can catch some, but it's really hard to catch them. So we got to catch them earlier, because you got to catch the families in the household. You got to get into the schools. Hopefully the schools can do, a little more, collaborations. I see a lot of the former, I guess, gang members and different things like that trying to get back to the community. And although they did a lot of damage to the communities, I see them trying to get back, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, depending on who it is in the circumstance. But there's a lot of other people in the communities, I think, that should have that connection with the schools. And the schools should be reaching out, because it's really hard to raise somebody else's child. And the teachers are trying their best. For the most part, the teachers are trying their best. But you can't really expect a teacher to raise a child. The child goes to school, is thinking one way. You see a lot of times the kids is fighting the teachers. They feel in a certain way. And then we expect the teacher and the principal, to raise the child. And the teacher might act out, the teacher might scream at the child, and now the teacher is losing the job, And that's why, once again, I always bring it back to the families. And yeah, the schools, the Board of Education, they should be reaching out to the community more, and they should be making changes, in the Board of Education. They should change it. It should be the Board of, maybe social education or something, because it don't matter how smart you are. I know math majors that have mental health issues. What's the point of having a MBA in business when you're in a psychiatric ward? So I think the Board of Education, they need to do something different, in the Board of Education. The schools, and at the end of the day, the schools are, for the most part, that second parent, because a lot of kids don't have parents, and people say the schools are not the parents. They are. That's their job. I'm sorry. You are, because over history, and over time, we see that kids are being raised without parents, without a mother and a dad in the household. And the Board of Education is benefiting, salaries are being paid, grants is being granted, and I'm sorry, but you're a second parent. You're a second parent. But we do expect, the teachers to kind of be a second parent, which it should be. There has to be some type of connection, and there has to be changes made, across the board. And that also, can paddle on the kids' mental health issues when they're in school. What are they learning in school? Are they even learning in school? You know, are they even interested in science? Maybe they're interested in, you know, arts. You know, and sometimes, you know, you can go through, you know, school, taking up things you never wanted to learn. And I think it all has, you know, some type of effect. You get out of college, and you learn some things you didn't want to learn. And now you're trying to figure out what you're going to do. You know, it all has an effect, I believe, on mental health. That's why I continue to say it starts early. It's the home and the schools, I believe, are the most important time in a child's life. You know, and so I think about all these things, and as I get older, when I used to speak, I was 25, 26, 27, you know, 29, and I would be one of the youngest people in the room. Now I think I might be as old as some people in the room. So I know I'm reaching an age. 37 now. I'm not 40 or 50 yet, but I know I got some people beating here. But I'm learning more. You know, I guess as you get older, you become more wiser. You know, so that's my goals, my mission, and my passion. When I started Excel University, .org, it was something that, you know, we wanted to have an impact. You know, and we have more goals. But this is great. I'm really glad to be here, and we're going to take some questions. And I really appreciate your time.